February 2003, and Newcastle had endured a difficult start to the second group stage of the Champions League, slipping to defeat in their opening two games. Yet a 3-1 win in Germany over Bayer Leverkusen had given them hope of reaching the knockout stages. The question was, could Sir Bobby Robson's side maintain their momentum and repeat the feat against the Germans at St James's Park? Commentary comes from David Pleat and John Champion.
So Bobby Robson has decided to rest Aaron Hughes and Andy O'Brien, so Andy Griffin retains his place and Stephen Caldwell partners Titus Bramble for the very first time. Caldwell's first start in a Champions League game, likewise Brian Kerr, whose display at Leeds earns him the nod over fit again Nobby Solano. Leverkusen's new coach Thomas Höster is in the Claudio Ranieri mould when it comes to team selection. Of the three Leverkusen players who represented Germany in the World Cup final, Bernd Schneider is on the sick list, but Oliver Nerville plays and Carsten Ramelow is back to stiffen the midfield. The lone striker França scored against Newcastle last week. The two centre-halves, Kleiner and Chris, were hopeless, yet they've been selected again. If last week's meeting is anything to go by, this should be a canter for Newcastle, with home advantage, with Alan Shearer. But in Newcastle United's case, cold logic can be folly. David Pleat's alongside me. David, are you expecting another Newcastle win?
I am. Evening all. I think that Newcastle can win. The fact that they're favourites is somewhat unusual for them in European competition. Whether the fact that Bayer are in such disarray in their own domestic competition, it will be a relaxer for them tonight to come away from their league form, we'll just have to wait to see. But certainly Newcastle should have the advantage, particularly if they can get an early goal. I think that could easily demoralise Bayer.
Well, they've got an early free kick for the foul on Kieran Dyer. Kleiner and Chris at the heart of the Bayer Leverkusen defence. Had a dreadful time of it last week, and Kleiner's not started too well tonight. Robert over the ball. The wall now back the statutory 10 yards. Shearer poised. Shearer strikes it against the base of the wall. And here's Oliver Nerville for Bayer Leverkusen, who did win in the Bundesliga for the first time in 6 games at the weekend. Apparently they were awful for the majority of the game at Hanover. Were trailing 1-0 with 10 minutes to go, and a couple of very late goals rescued them and took them out of the bottom 3 in the German league table. Dyer. Robert. Amiobi is poised far side for Newcastle. Dyer. Brian Kerr. Gary Speed. Newcastle opening with confidence. Bernard. Met on the half volley by Thomas Kleiner. Robert. Quickly in was Bashturk. That's Christoph Preuss. Here's Robert. No trip by Kalushny. Danish referee says play on. And this is Gary Speed. Cross comes Kleiner for Leverkusen.
Quite clear that Amiobi is going to make these thrusts into the flank positions from the centre, trying to stretch the back 4 of Bayer.
Here's Speed. They've not really picked him up very quickly. And there's Shearer! A moment of history for Alan Shearer. At 32, it's his first ever Champions League goal in open play.
What a start. Great cross in from the left, perfect ball, lovely dinky to the back post. You see Shearer gaining the yard on the sleeping Pisenti, gets in front of him.
Bramble won the ball.
Well, Bashturk overdoing it a little bit. We'll discuss him a little bit later, Bashturk, but what a fine player last year in a better team.
Look at the run first of Griffin and now Dyer. Amiobi's in the middle, Robert's in the middle, and Griffin draws the save. Still stung by the fact that what he thought was the winning goal against Juventus was chalked off and put down as a Buffon own goal. Placente. Shimak. Poor ball by Chris, straight to Shearer. It's like last week all over again, and here's Amiobi onside. And Shearer's only loosely marked at the back post. And Shearer has made it two! It's another catastrophic sequence of Leverkusen defending. What price a Shearer hat-trick tonight, I wonder? He's got two in the opening 11 minutes.
Well, it was a dreadful ball by Chris in the first place. Amiobi made a forward run. I thought there might have been a hint of offside as Shearer played the ball there, but no. The arm was raised in vain, and then when Amiobi gets there, there's almost a nervousness to tackle him. Not good goalkeeping, not a firm hand, and then a horrific display of nerves at the back post there by Chris, who originally gave the ball away, and Shearer takes advantage. Dyer made a great forward run there, but wasn't spotted.
But poor defending by Newcastle, and last week's goal scorer França is in again. Now, was he brought down? Oh, Shay Given could be in trouble. It's a penalty, but what about the Newcastle goalkeeper? Will the referee deem that there was cover back on the line in the form of Caldwell and Bramble? Even though, obviously, we're supporting Newcastle's cause, one has to say that surely Shay Given should have been sent off.
It's a straightforward 1-against-1, and Frank is on to score. He's the last man.
Nerville with the penalty kick. And isn't that the ultimate irony? Given, who shouldn't be on the pitch, has saved it.
Well, it was a poorly taken kick. Whether Given just made it, really didn't have to do too much.
Dyer. Caught by the trailing leg of Kaluzhny.
Small, sharp player against a tall, slow player. And that's what happens. They stick out a leg and they go over. That's not the first time Kaluzhny has fouled tonight. Sven came up this afternoon, has got a lot of time for some of the Newcastle players, the younger players, and quite rightly so. It's just a shame Janus isn't fit to play here this evening too.
Amiobi. Oh, Dyer was pulled back. That's a penalty. You know who's going to take it? It's going to be Alan Shearer with a chance of a hat-trick.
Yeah, and can you tell me the last time he scored a first-half hat-trick, John?
I would imagine the day he got 5 against Sheffield Wednesday might have been a candidate for that.
Well, it'll give you some of the viewers something to think about. But Dyer once again breaking into the box.
So it's to be the overlord of St James's. 2 goals already. It's his 15th hat-trick, his first for 3.5 years, and St James's Park rises as one to their #1.
Well, he's not only a great hero here and a popular man, but you know he's a very humble man. And I'm told from the coaching staff here, no one does more for the club off the field than Shearer, as well as on the field. Fully deserving. Speed congratulating him there in the centre circle. But how well he's done for players like Bellamy, Amiobi, Lualua. You know, it's so good to have the right type of experience up front to bring youngsters on.
After the drought for Shearer in the Champions League comes the flood. A 36-minute first-half hat-trick.
He's got some forward attackers, Court, Lualua. He's got the creative Viana and Solano. But I'm pretty confident that Bobby Robson might rest one of his older players, whether it be Speed or whether it be Shearer. He could certainly give Viano half an hour. And I'm so sure Ahir Court's playing very well at reserve level at the moment. He may just give him a lift. Bobby Robson, the master psychologist, he doesn't have to pay for psychologists, he does it himself.
Well, we've had the promised additional minute, and the members of the Toon Army, those that are not heading for the refreshment kiosks, are preparing to acclaim one of their two favourite sons. Hats off to Alan Shearer, the central figure in a wonderful first half for Newcastle. His first ever goal from open play in the Champions League, followed 6 minutes later by another, followed by a penalty to complete a hat-trick, his first in 3.5 years. It might have been very different had the referee not been so lenient to Shay Gibbon, but that's ancient history. What's present and correct is a 3-0 scoreline in Newcastle's favour at half-time. St James's Park full of expectation, full of people thinking of a possible quarter-final. That is, though, very premature, with still two extremely tough group games to go after this. Pass for Larson. It's only the 5th time he's officiated in a Champions League game. Shimak. Placente.
Bobby Robson just moving out the box. Whenever he moves out the box, you know that Bobby senses there's a slight complacency, or they're not moving the ball in the style that he wants. I'd like to see Robert get a little bit of ball on the left and get involved and have 1 or 2 runs. For a side that's been on top, certainly more purposeful. He hasn't really had a lot of aggressive play down the left-hand side. It's mainly come from dire surges through the middle.
Here's Nerville. Babic. Amiobi for Newcastle, and Dyer set off on a run, and Amiobi's skills are good, and he's got 3 for company. It's still Amiobi! What does Sir Bobby Robson call him? A lanky Bambi.
Yes, but he's getting stronger legs, isn't he? All the time he's getting more power, and once again he wants to go forward, he wants to look for shots.
Step over was by Dyer. Space for Gary Speed. Robert up and running, and Price just managed to cut it out. Bashchuk. Griffin into the path of Caldwell. Newcastle haven't scored since the 36th minute, when Shearer completed his hat-trick from the penalty spot. Amiobi. St James's Park faithful sensing another. It's Shearer! Would you believe that? He's missed the easiest chance of the lot.
Credit Amiobi. Superb run, wonderful footwork. There's a smiling Geordie. A great ball by Dyer that set Amiobi free. He's been thrusting down those flanks all evening. Look at this footwork. Right foot, then left. Inside 2 defenders. He has a quick look up and says to the greatest goal scorer in English football, roll that one in. And he just shows his manager that he's human.
Bramble. The Darich is back on, moving reasonably freely. And here's Bashchuk. Nice ball for Shimak. Babic is getting forward in this attack for Leverkusen. Still, though, it's Jan Shimak. And Kerr got a foot to it. And Caldwell cleared it.
You wouldn't mind playing against Shimak. He tends to do the same thing all the time. Drop his shoulder, cut inside, force him into the ruck. Newcastle are doing it well.
Babic. Stooping was Griffin. Calls for handball waved away against Bashchuk. Marco Babic having his shirt pulled by Brian Kerr. Good spot by the referee. Kerr, who prefers to play in central midfield, I think I'm right in saying, David, being asked to fill in on the right.
Yes, played at Tottenham recently for Newcastle in a particularly good second half performance they had, but he did a good working job in the first half. And I think sometimes he plays at this stage just to give Solano a reminder.
4 waiting for Babic's free kick. And it's that man Shearer who heads it away again.
Yeah. Like Les Ferdinand, another fine Newcastle centre-forward who we haven't mentioned tonight. He does great defensive work in the air, does Alan Shearer, particularly in that near-post area. Comes back and defends the corners, defends the free kicks. Invaluable.
Babic. Shimak. Ball nicely for Speed. to the ball. Robert. Shearer's on his blocks on this near side. It'll come to Dyer, and Robert's unmarked inside him. And Amiobi's up as well. Chances here, but the cross is too close to butt.
Well, he just run out of ground. He did tremendously well, did Dyer. They're playing a very tight line now, and they're trying to play a high line up the field. And they're going to get caught, obviously, for the pace. They'll get caught on a 1-2, or someone will do an individual dribble. There's too much grass between the back four and the goalkeeper. But they're trying to play further up the field so they get the possession in the Newcastle half. But they are susceptible to that type of break there by Dyer. Just run out of ground, unlucky.
França. He scored against England at Wembley, França. Not been too many other international highlights for him. Here's Shimak, and now França. And that was very nearly an own goal, but it's a corner conceded by Griffin.
Bramble there, a little bit of loose play there. You see the ball bounce up, then he gets on the stretch. Nice little reverse pass, but Griffin does very well to cover.
Robert's throw. Good distance on it too. Well won by Speed. Very few lost causes with him. Solano, Robert. Shearer. Tester for Zivkovic. Laurent Robert. Andy Griffin. Speed. Solano. Flag was up against Amiobi.
Solano adds that little bit of subtlety, doesn't he? On the right-hand side, he's very clever with his passes, Solano. He's the type of player that can easily play the people on a high like Amiobi tonight into those spaces. But Kerr's gone into more centre midfield. In fact, Kerr's playing more on the left as at this moment, but the tactics haven't changed. Newcastle playing with a back four, playing with width, the same principles of play that have stood them in such good stead this season.
A terrific side to watch. Their 41st game of the season. Those matches have produced 123 goals, 69 of them scored by Newcastle. Babic for a labouring Leverkusen. Bashturk. Babic has continued his run, that's better, and that's 3-1. And arguably it's the best move of the night.
Oh, it was a gorgeous ball by Bashturk. Beyond the back four. Babic, far more creative than Ramelow, did take it well. There's Bashturk, he sees the run, he continues his run well, he just shrugs Griffin off. Griffin doesn't really stay with him.
And here is a rarity. Alan Shearer being substituted. Doesn't happen often. Hands on the captain's armband. The first European hat-trick of his career. And it should be enough to secure a very important victory for Newcastle United. Loire will play the final 10 minutes.
They have some young talent, and it goes through into their reserves, and it goes through into young forwards like Chopra, and the boy I can't pronounce that was at Darlington on loan. You can pronounce him. But he's very good.
Oppion.
Correct.
Scored a goal or two in the FA Cup on loan at Darlington earlier this season.
And of course they've got a lot of players out on loan, getting experience.
Here's Solano. Loire. Goodness knows what will happen next. Amiobi. Did well to win it back. Viana.
Party time.
Loire. Fancy a somersault before the end of the game, don't you?
Yeah, you just said what he was going to do next, and I said maybe a somersault, but unpredictable box of tricks. There's Viana with his little flick, and to be fair, it was a good effort across the face of the goal.
So Newcastle really playing out time towards what in the end will go down as a pretty comprehensive Champions League win. Inter Milan to come. Barcelona at home. sorts of permutations in Group A. And things will only really start to become clear after Newcastle's trip to Italy. Kleiner. But we have seen a European hat-trick for Alan Shearer, only the 4th in the history of the club.
Strange really how you make 2 or 3 substitutions and you lose that shape and you lose that impetus, because players come on with a 3-goal cushion and they want to make an impression themselves instead of playing more as a team play, which certainly Newcastle were for 3/4 of this game. A good team play.
30 seconds to go. Robert to Bernard. Is there a 4th goal in Newcastle? Not from Bernard's slalom run. Babic has found Shimak, despite the lunge of the fullback Andy Griffin, who's now working his socks off to get back behind the ball. Klaus Bolarsson, the referee, has had 3 looks at his watch. We've had the 3 extra minutes. It's another very good night for Newcastle United. Another step on the European ladder. They're in with a real shout of the quarter-finals thanks to Alan Shearer's first half hat-trick. Next it's Milan, then Barcelona here. Nothing's ever straightforward with Newcastle. Nothing's ever dull. It's Newcastle 3, Bayer Leverkusen 1.